NGOs. It has been noted in the recent past that most NGOs, mostly small and emerging NGOs, have not been oriented to the NGO policy and legislative regime and therefore fail to follow and comply with regulatory and statutory requirements. This is also the reason why not many NGOs know what the NGO Code of Conduct and regulations require of them. It is against this background that NGO News has produced a book which explains the NGO policy, legislation, and self-regulation requirements in Tanzania. The book also explains what the National Council of NGOs, NACO-NGO, is, its roles, functions and the obligations that NGOs have towards NACO-NGO. NGOs. Building effective NGOs boards. While most small and emerging NGOs in Tanzania have good constitution or articles of association because it is a requirement by the registrar and that the registrar has simplified/standardized the format. Most of them fail the due diligence part of the project or program grant largely because they do not have good governance policies, charters or systems. Therefore it has often been seen in most NGOs that there is no distinction in the roles played by the board/governance structure and the secretariat, executive, or management structure. In response to this, we have produced a guide which outlines the conventional ways of how NGOs boards ought to function and how to articulate good and effective board policies/charters. Building effective NGO networks. As the larger part of Tanzanian civil society and civic formations seek to foster greater networking and coalition building so as to have a critical mass movement of citizens who are advocating for democratization at all levels, reality on the ground is that many Tanzanian CSOs and civic actors do not duly understand the concept and benefits of networking. Therefore, majority NGOs have formed networks or become part of networks so as to access donations or grants. On the part of the donors and grant makers, experience shows that CSOs/NGO networks in Tanzania were propagated out of the need for donors and grant makers to ease their administration and paperwork when dealing with CSOs/NGOs and not to genuinely create cohesive CSO/NGO networks. It is against the above stated background that NGO News has produced an informative user guide on effective NGO/CSO networking which draws examples from best practices from across the world. Organizational development for NGOs. Organizational development, OD, is very vital in attaining organization effectiveness and sustainability. Therefore, the need for NGOs of all sizes to grasp this notion/concept. In a bid to make small and emerging NGOs, more so those from Tanzania, to be apt at OD, NGO News has produced a manual that gives the reader an A to Z narration of what OD is and how NGOs can best pervade their organizations with OD. Apart from outlining the organizational aspects of OD, it also outlines the linkages and relationship that exist between NGOs and other development actors, more so the government, media, and private sector. The manual also points NGOs to ways of how they can comply with the policies, laws, and regulations governing NGOs which operate in Tanzania. Small and emerging for monitoring and evaluation for NGOs. In Tanzania, most small and emerging NGOs spend a lot of resources on hiring consultants to help them with undertaking project and program M&E when they have been given grants by either donors, government, or development partners. This is surprising because for one to be able to articulate a good proposal or concept note, they should already be apt at M&E, in that this is only about following through the results matrix/logical framework of the project to see whether the intended inputs, outputs, and outcomes are being achieved. However, experience has shown that these NGOs fail to undertake M&E because they hire consultants to do the proposals. To allay this challenge, we have produced a simple and practical guide on contact details for these resources. Website: https://www.cbtongo.wixsite.com/development. Phone: +25574 347 1971. Email: zaajohn@yahoo.com. YouTube: Sptongo.